So, everyone, you may realize this is not Dwayne, and if you looked at the title for the video, you may realize this is not actually the same as our other Dark Souls playthrough that we are doing.
Woody? It wouldn't have been Dwayne anyway.
Wouldn't have been Dwayne. I realize that now.
Okay.
So, we're gonna go through the DLC, because that's the thing that just came out, and we're playing as a different character, because Brock, not Dwayne, can't actually access the DLC yet.
Because he's not pwnage
So, close your eyes,
material.
Chicho, because you shouldn't be spoiling yourself on all of these areas you're gonna see me
I
being able to
saw a
travel
place, the name by Cathedral something. I'm looking away now.
to.
I'm not looking.
So I have actually played the DLC. One of the thoughts we were having coming into this was that we were going to do this blind, but that didn't really work out because we couldn't record and I couldn't stop myself from playing it.
But between the two of us, we're basically half blind, right?
Yep.
I'm pretty much blind all the time anyway, though. Which could be a totally new element for our channel, considering how my actual free time is diminishing. We could just start doing a thing where, like, hey, the cheat show is totally uninformed in the game world. We're going to throw a game at him. And see his
So, by the way, this room, you never saw it.
Are those fingers or are those phallus heads?
Yeah, they're phalluses. Wait, is this chest empty? Oh, I never even got this chest. Cool. I'm finding shit I never got before. That's actually a really good
Just for
idea.
the record, though, you have not gone through the DLC with this guy.
No, I've not gone through the... And one of the things we had mentioned wanting to do with Brock was maybe class him into magic at some point. Well, we're in luck, because this guy is a pure caster, like 100% casting power all the time. You'll see he has a bunch of spells. He is trained in the use of miracles, and hexes, and sorceries. So this big shrine thing here, this is how you access the DLC.
Okay.
It originally was not in this cave.
So, just for simplicity purposes, what are we going to call this guy? Steve?
Well, he has a name,
Okay.
but it's not really anything special, so he doesn't need to keep it. So, whatever you want to call him, come up with a name.
Okay.
This is going to be like a weird superhero situation where you have the replacement superhero come in for like the few issues once the actual hero dies, and then the actual hero comes back later. Call him like Beta Ray Bill or...
Okay. I'll give you a name after you kill an enemy.
So, yeah, this guy, I have almost all the Hexer armor set on. I have the Dragon Slayer axe as my weapon, which does not do a ton of damage because that's not really what this guy focuses on. And I have this shield, which is actually one of the weapons that you get for pre-ordering the game. And the reason I have it is because I think it looks really cool with this armor set.
Well, it does.
It looks nice and creepy, but it actually is not super great as a shield. So, you see that first area there, what is actually really cool about this DLC is that even if you do not have the DLC, you might actually remember, you know that giant patch I didn't download?
Yeah, you told me about that.
That if you don't have the DLC, you can actually set your summon sign down in that first area and get summoned into the DLC. There's an area set up specifically for that later on. See, it's pretty much a green cave right now. And a cool thing, which this guy is... So yeah, Shulva Sanctum City. This is kind of like your big view of this entire area. It's like Mesoamerican temples inside a giant cave. You may think he looks a tad familiar to a certain enemy in the Dark Souls 1.
Oh, considering the giant arrow spear thing that's penetrating his body, I'd say it's the name of that horrible dragon that I had a hard time fighting.
You might be correct.
Okay.
So, anywho, so this staff I am using, normally, since I'm using hexes, miracles, and sorceries, I could not, I'd have to use a different catalyst for each one of those. But this staff specifically, I can cast all of them.
Haha.
Using just this one staff.
Thank you, Dark Souls. Higher powered gods.
And this hood I am wearing is the Hexer's hood. And eventually, actually really soon... Actually, we've seen the guy. Remember the weird dude in the cave we talked to who, told us we were dumb?
That arrows it down. Oh, no, yeah. Right.
That guy, this is his armor.
Okay.
And this headpiece that I'm wearing, this weird, cloth draped over my face, my stupid undead face, that gets me extra casts.
Can we call him Zeke?
I guess.
Or Biff?
Not Biff.
Okay. What's a
Biff
cool,
is a horrible name for
What's
a
a
mage.
cool mage name? Call him...
Oh, the other thing, by the way, the most recent patch for this game dramatically decreased the power of magic.
You should not have downloaded that patch for this, Woody.
Well, I couldn't have played this if I hadn't.
Ah, I see. Well, that's horrible.
So, this spell here, Soul Geyser, the reason I stopped playing as this character is because I got a bunch of copies of this, because this spell is extremely powerful. It is so powerful it ruins the rest of the game because it makes it too easy.
You're kidding.
I don't think it will anymore, because I believe they patched that.
Well, what was, like, did they change the effects?
It shoots, no, I think they just changed how much damage it does.
Okay.
So I have played through the DLC, so I know some of the tricks, so hopefully I'll get through it faster. One of these tricks is, see these big pillar things here? When you attack them, stuff happens. Namely, platforms raise and lower. So see that guy who was shooting arrows at me is now damaged, along with his friends.
$353. Okay, so being a mage, it's got to have its pros and cons, though, because you only have a certain number of casts, right?
Yeah, you
So,
have to be careful of that.
Once you run out of casts, then you're pretty much just screwed till you get to the next bonfire.
Yeah, or if, like, my weapon I have right now is decent. It's actually pretty good if you put more, like, upgrade points into it. I don't think I have on this guy.
Uh-huh.
But also, a lot of the mage stuff, for whatever reason, kind of makes using, like, heavy armor less of an option and heavier gear less of an option. Just because you don't have the stats required to invest in that.
Right.
Because as a mage, in addition to investing in your damage stats, you also have to invest in attunement, which is the stat for how many slots of spells you can cast. And I have a buttload of that on this guy. I think this actually might be the highest level character I have. He's like 170-something.
Oh, wow. Woody, how many hours have you put into Dark Souls
A lot.
2? Okay.
2? Not as much as the other ones, obviously.
Okay, but okay, how about the Souls, like, as a series?
A lot!
Like, unashamedly a lot?
No. I mean, there were times, like, when I got into this where it was like, I would get into it and I would play nothing else for like a month.
Wow.
Because, I really like games like that. I think it's pretty impressive that you can actually have a game you can put time into like that.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, I've done that with games in the past, and you probably have too, not recently, but... Oh,
Like,
wow.
the only reason why I would ever have that much time in one game is either because I really liked it, or if I was a completionist, maybe. I just wanted to get, like, every single thing, but... I guess, is there just a really good sense of variety in this game?
Well, it's because, yeah, and, like, every character is different when you play them. Okay, so this move's fun. Here, I don't think it'll actually do a lot of damage to this guy, but the Dark Shotgun. So, yeah, I guess I should go through my spells. This spell probably won't do a lot to this guy. It's more effective the larger they are.
Oh, well, it still killed him.
Because basically what that does is it shoots out a bunch of tiny little orbs, and then they split into more and more attacks over time. And it's a lot more effective against big enemies, to the point where when I originally got it, towards the point that I started the game, I could one-shot bosses with it.
Really?
Yeah.
What? Like, how many attacks does it do? Like 5 hits, 6 hits?
Well, yeah, it does quite a few hits. It's a pretty powerful move. And it's a pretty powerful move. Probably a good thing that they nerf that, actually.
How early in the game can you get it?
It's pretty late game.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty late game, and it requires, like, an extreme amount of stat investment.
But, like, once you go to, like,
Into
a new
Magic
game
to be able
plus,
to
it
use it.
really
Because,
pays
like,
off.
let me show you what my stats for these guys are. Because, yeah, I have 55 intelligence and 44 faith on this guy, and I think the requirement to use that spell is, like, 60-something. And the only reason I can use it is because there are items you can find that will lower the requirement for a spell stat. So yeah, this is a Dark Orb. This is just kind of like a basic dark move. It's really fast, decently damaging. All around, pretty good. Dark Hail I used before. It's kind of like a shotgun blast. I'll try and use it on this guy, this dude with the lance. It's like the closer range you are, the better it is.
Indeed. I'd say you just point blank, got some dark magic in his face.
Pretty much, yeah. This is Lightning Spear, a familiar move, actually. Because if you remember, this is the move Solaire uses a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
Do I actually have a bow on this character? And can I use it? Well, I can't use it, but I don't actually need to attack with this bow. Because these switches activate on a physical hit. So you can activate them even if you're not in the area by hitting them. So if you have a bow, you can hit these with an arrow.
Ah, I see.
And they'll get activated.
Now, does it also activate when a mob will hit it?
No, I don't believe it does. Am I okay, I actually don't know, because I got trapped down here when I played this the first time, and I may in fact be trapped here.
You can't throw a grenade or something up there? Ooh.
Yeah, I can't grenade jump out of here. Yeah, look at the physics on that lance right there.
Yeah. No, I meant like you don't have like some sort of projectile you can throw, like lob up and over to hit the switch to bring you back up?
Because that's why I equipped the bow, so...
Oh. See, you're not stuck. The Dark Souls.
Because I don't think they would ever actually get you in a situation where you're stuck.
Right.
It's like there always has to be a way out. Okay, so, let's see, where am I going here?
I'm glad your hood doesn't have flowers on it. That just kind of take away the seriousness of the look of the outfit.
So yeah, this is Lightning Spear. This is a miracle. Does lightning damage, as you might guess.
It's a miracle.
This used to be a really, really, really good spell, but it got really horribly nerfed in the last patch.
So like
to the point where, like this spell pre-patch, you had 10 casts with it, and now it has 3, and they're all weaker.
It's kind of like an unjustifiable, like...
Well, it was really good, and the thing is you could get it really early on in the game.
Yeah.
And it remained really powerful for about 90% of the game.
Right, but I mean, like, to reduce the quantity of hits and the amount of damage that the shots do, kind of seems a little...
The spell called Homing Crystal Soul Mass, it gives me these little floaty spear things that will auto-attack when I get close enough to an enemy.
That's cool.
It's a cool move. It was really cool in Dark Souls 1, but it's not super powerful in this.
So now are mages like completely just pushovers when it comes to like PvP?
I honestly, I don't know enough about PvP post-patch to like give a definitive answer.
Right. Considering this patch was what, like a week old?
I haven't even played any PvP since then, so...
You're not playing offline still, are you?
No, I'm online right now, so I could be invaded.
And considering that the DLC is just fresh off the press, it's probably a pretty popular place.
Yep.
And you're part of the Covenant with this character?
Actually, with this character, I am part of a Covenant where I can go in and defend people. There's a Covenant called the Covenant of the Meek. Meek. And for if those guys wear a ring and they get invaded, people in my Covenant will be auto-summoned to go and fight them.
Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the Dark Souls.
Oh, okay, yeah, these bugs, that gas they exude is equipment damage.
Like durability loss?
Yeah.
Okay. Can your, like, max durability on an item deteriorate at all?
No.
Okay. Or, like, is there a curse or anything that would reduce that?
No. You can break your weapons, but then you just have to go repair them.
Right.
So, I just raised a platform up over here that gives me a shortcut back to the start.
Hey, yeah. Too bad you can't, like, magic backstab.
Magical backstab! Just coat my arm into, like, a big blue stabby stick.
Well, yeah, like, you know, when you're behind him, like, instead of a backstab, you got your dark magic shotgun blast. He just, like, puts their hand on the back of their head.
Okay, let's see. Drop down here. Eat some Estus. I am trying to get to a bonfire that is nearby.
Lego Dark Souls. I would love to play that.
Okay, so these enemies are pretty much the worst thing ever.
Statues.
That's not actually... Well, it's actually... See, this is a weird scenario, because these statues are in another part of the game that you have not seen yet. So, most of the time, if you're here, you'd know what they are. These are statues that shoot poison out of them when you get close.
Good grief. Which one's doing it? The big one? Oh.
But this is not a statue. That's actually a tiny little crab.
A crab.
With a bunch of statues on its back.
With radioactive, toxic Virgin Mary statue had figurines on it.
But thankfully, they're kind of like weirdly non-aggressive. They won't directly attack you a lot. You just kind of wake them up and they go around and shoot poison all over the place. Now, my axe, I've said it sucks. It's actually pretty good because it has natural lightning damage on it. And me having a lot of faith, being this weird like hybrid super magic guy build, has a bunch of faith.
That's kind of cool that an elemental weapon will scale with your said whatever related category skill thing you're leveling up. What am I thinking of?
Faith?
Your faith, yeah. Right. Well, that's weird, because faith would go with miracles, right?
Yes. But faith is also lightning damage. Lightning damage scales
Oh,
with
because
faith.
lightning is considered a miracle.
Yeah.
Oh. What about thunder?
Chicho.
Okay.
This was a bad plan. There are two archers off to the left shooting at me, too. No, stop!
If I ever feel like I need to be put in my place, I'll just put down Assassin's Creed and play some Dark Souls and be like, yeah. I can't rush 10 people.
Probably not a good idea. I need to be careful fighting two dudes. Now, the number of little spheres you get for the spell, too, varies depending on how strong your magic is.
So will your magic slots just continue increasing indefinitely until you, like, max out a certain
It's diminishing returns after a while. Like,
Yeah.
everything in these games kind of has diminishing returns. I think in this, it's... I can't remember if it's this or the original Dark Souls, where if you have 50 attunement, it's 10 magic slots. And after that point, I think it's like, if you have 50, you have 10, and I think if you push it all the way to 100, you only get 15.
But if that's the build you're going for, I mean, makes sense, right?
Well, and the thing with Dark Souls 2 is that this game is slightly different because of, like, how those calculations work. Because this game, unlike the last one, really doesn't have a soft level cap. Because Dark Souls 1, most people stopped leveling about 120 because it just took too long to level up after that.
Like, you'd have to beat the game multiple times.
Yeah, multiple times, level up once. But with how multiplayer works in this, and with how this game works in general, that really doesn't happen this time around. And you can just kind of keep going, and there's no real stopping point. And in multiplayer, your level doesn't matter as much, and you can invade wherever you want. So, people just kind of keep going in this.
Is there a way to, like, grind for XP in Dark Souls?
There is. There is actually a pretty reliable way to grind in this. I have not done it. By the way, I want to point out those super creepy eyeballs over there.
Yeah. They look vaguely like the statues that are in there. Only they're not
Indeed they
covered
do.
in green.
I actually don't know how to kill these guys.
Fecal matter.
With magic. Huh. That could prove to be a problem later on.
You can hit him with the bow and arrow and get him to move. You don't need to kill
Well,
him,
I can hit it with a bow and arrow, but the thing is, I can't actually hit it with anything I have. Like, I can hit it with a bow and arrow, but I can't actually use my bow and arrow to do damage because I suck with it.
Oh.
Anywho, I'll just try to go past him. Bye!
Well, that was pretty effective.
Platforming in these games is always kind of tense.
So I wonder what civilization made all this.
Shova! Well, the city's called Shova. Anyway, here's my next bonfire, so I'm gonna rest, and being a mage, bonfire resting is even more important because you need to restore all of your spells. Like the Souls series? Well, we have a lot of Souls-related content here on Video Attack. We have an ongoing crit play for Dark Souls 2, which is basically like a really, really long review discussing the positives and negatives of Dark Souls 2 along with Kai. We've also got a full Let's Play for the original Dark Souls, where Chicho goes into the game blind and uses my advice to get through the game. As a result of that, we've got plenty of death montages of every single death that Chicho had to suffer throughout the game.